Yogis, welcome. We're going to begin in child's pose, so knees wide, big toes touch. Let your forehead just rest really comfortably on the mat. Letting the muscles in the neck start to relax, the shoulders soften. And to really start your practice, just start to change how you're breathing a little bit. So the breath is just a bit deeper than it normally is. So it takes the focus away from the thoughts and any busyness going on there. And the focus becomes the breath, stretching and extending it out a little. So you've found yourself in a town mix class. And this class is a break from all the chaturangas and the vinyasas that we do in other practices. So it gives the shoulders and the wrists a bit of a break. Or if you're working with an injury there, this gives you the freedom to practice without worrying about doing a million planks and down dogs. And if at any point throughout this practice you find that you need to take a break, you just come right back to this shape. Find child's pose whenever you need it. So take about 4 more really steady, even breaths in and out through the nose. Letting the mind rest on that sound. And then drawing forward to tabletop position. I'm going to start by warming into the hips a little bit. So from tabletop, take your knee into your chest, your left knee, pull it up, and then start to open up the hip. Take a big circle, drawing it towards the back of the room, and then back knee into chest. So big circle under control. And try to isolate this into the hip joint exclusively. So try not to lean too much to the right or torque your body too much. See if you can just keep this in the hip joint. And then switch directions. Now go back to front. And then next time you finish your circle, knee comes down and move right into the other side. So right knee comes into the chest, open the knee up to the right, draw it back, and then knee into the chest. So nice, slow, controlled circles. Maybe observing which hip felt like it rotated a little more smoothly than the other, or if there's one that you feel you have a greater range of motion in it. And then once you've completed your next circle, go back to front again. So just switching directions, but staying with that same hip. Finishing off your last circle, and the knee comes down. Okay, now depending on where you are on your mat, either walk the knees back slightly or the hands forward for heart melting pose. So your hands come out, you're gonna keep your hips over your knees, melt your chest and your forehead down. A bit like half downward facing dog here. Really allow the chest to just collapse towards the earth, starting to open up into the chest and the shoulders. And then looking forward, start to draw forward onto your forearms. So either forearms parallel to the long edges of the mat or interlock your fingers if that feels better. Curl the toes under and lift the knees up, coming into low plank. Take your eyes slightly ahead of your fingertips. Push into your forearms and dome into the upper back slightly. Charge your legs up, squeeze thigh muscle into the bone. And then squeeze your bum. Find your breath here. And then release, come all the way down onto the ground. Take your hands under your shoulders, elbows point to the sky. Now draw your legs together for Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Push into the hands, start to rise through the chest. Think of lengthening your heart towards the front of the room as you lift. And then release, come down. Good. Inhale, rise, pushing into the hands a little bit and lifting to whatever degree feels good for your back. And then release, take it down. Do 3 more like that. Keep pushing down to the tops of your feet as you lift through the chest. So the legs stay active. Next time your mouth comes down to the mat, you're going to pause here. Good. Curl your toes under, push into tabletop position. Good. Now drop your belly, lift your chest, come into cow pose. Round into cat, push the earth away, hollowing out the belly. Do that again. Drop your belly, lift your chest, cow. Good. Round into cat. And then one more time, cow pose, drop your belly, lift your chest, pause here, linger at the top, soften your belly, and then downward facing dog. Lift the hips to the sky, push back. So feel free to move around a little bit in your first downward facing dog, pedaling out the heels. And then once you've created a bit of movement, settle into some stillness. So look to your toes. Get more active in your legs. Push your thigh bones back. Bones of the bum reach. Almost as if someone was pulling back on your hips. Take all the effort out of your face. Smooth out your breath. And then look to your hands, bend your knees. Take a few steps up to the top of your space. Feet together. Halfway lift, pull your heart forward. And then fold, draw into your legs. You could do that again. Halfway lift, lengthen and pull the heart forward. And then forward fold, draw into yourself. Good, then reach the arms all the way up overhead. Stretch and reach the fingers to the sky. and then hands to the heart on your exhale. Good. Close your eyes, take a moment to just stand in your feet. Now push the earth away, reach up, look up, breathe in, fill, forward fold, empty out. Halfway lift, breathe in, fold, breathe it out. Now take your hands, interlock your fingers, push down through your palms, straighten your arms, and then reach the arms forward and up, all the way up overhead. Look up to your knuckles, lengthen through the side waist, and then hands to the heart on the exhale. Reach up, breathe in. Fold into yourself as you breathe out. Halfway lift, pull your heart away from your thighs, and then move into that space you just created. Exhale. Hands come together, interlock the fingers, push down through your palms, reach forward and up, big breath in. Hands to the heart, exhale. And one more just like that. Reach up, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe it all out. Good. Lengthen and fill the lungs. A little pause here at the top. And then forward fold, chest to the thighs. Interlock your fingers, push down through your palms, reach forward and up. Big breath in. Lengthen, lift the shoulder blades up your back. Hands to the heart, exhale. Good. Reach the arms up, breathe in. This time it's Utkatasana as you breathe out. Sit way, way back. Find your breath here. Now take an inhale here, and then on the exhale, swing your arms back and bring your chest onto your thighs into this little airplane shape. Then big breath in, reach up again, lift the hips an inch or two, and then exhale, go back into this little airplane shape. Work with your breath, inhaling to rise, exhaling to sink. Focus on slowing down the breath. So this movement becomes really slow and methodical. Just creating a moving meditation. Syncing the breath with the movement. Good. Next time you reach up, Utkatasana, you're going to hold here. Sit down a little bit deeper. Find the work in the legs, stay with it. Use your breath to create a cool mind, even as the heat starts to rise. Now take your hands behind you, interlock your fingers. Big breath in, open your chest, straighten your arms, and then forward fold. Take the knuckles over your head. Shake the head, yes and no. And then Utkatasana, hips low. Take the arms back up. Pause here. Forward fold, let it all go. Good. Lengthen, breathe in. And then take your left leg to the back of the mat as you breathe out. Now inch your toes back nice and far. Take a generous stance. Now come onto your fingertips. Sink your hips, lift your chest like you just came into up dog. So your knees sort of hovering above the mat. And then you're going to lift your hips and forward fold, straighten over the front leg. Drop your hips, lift your chest, big breath in. Forward fold, exhale it out. And again, moving with your breath. Maybe even closing down the eyes here. Allowing yourself to drop in a little bit more. Getting intimately connected with the movement. One more full cycle. And next time you lift your hips and straighten the front leg, you're going to hold here for a few breaths. It doesn't matter if your leg isn't fully straight, just get it as straight as you can go. Finding some space in the hamstring muscle. Good, and then spin your back heel flat and open up into Warrior Two, Vira Two. Good, so arms are parallel with the earth. Sink your hips down without leaning forward though. Good, so your front thigh comes parallel with the earth. Now get into your feet, drop down and actively push the earth away with your feet. Maybe even play with lifting all 10 toes. Good. Now as you push down through the big toe mound of your front foot, open your knee up towards your pinky toe. So when you look down, you can see the big toe. Okay, now for the last few breaths, just settle in. Keep anchoring the mind on the sound of your breath. Good. Flip your upper palm, or your front palm, back hand to the hip, reverse your warrior. Push your hips forward as you reach back through the upper arm. So get a nice stretch through the side waist. Keep lunging your front knee forward. Yes, inch your torso out of your hips, go way, way back. Good. And then helicopter the hands to the ground, frame your front foot. Take your right arm to the sky, big breath in, open up. Lean back, lean away. And then right hand comes down. Walk over to the left, pivot the front toes in for a wide-legged forward bend. So toes in slightly, heels out. Roll the weight towards the outer edges of the feet and lift the arches of the feet. Hands come down shoulder width. Think of tilting the bones of the bum up to the sky as you bring more weight into the hands. Good. Find a drishti point, a focus point for the eyes to create a really soothing effect for the mind. So when our eyes are darting around a lot, that's very stimulating and a sign of a busy mind. So we can actually slow down the thoughts just by keeping the eyes still. And now start to walk the hands out slightly and then around towards the front of your space. Pivot on your feet. Now you want both your hands on the inside of your front foot. Heel toe your right foot out to the right a little bit so you can take your hands to shoulder width. So you want your hands a little bit wider. Good, now look forward. You're gonna draw forward with your chest. Bend your elbows like you're doing chaturanga. Take a little push up. So hips come down with your chest. And then straighten the arms out. Good, draw forward, take a little push up, and then straighten the arms out. Good, do this a few more times. Starting to get into the upper body a little bit, but also opening into the hips by sinking them with the chest. Last 3, 2, last 1, push up, hold. Now you're going to step your back foot forward into Malasana. Sink your hips, lift the center of the chest, hands come together at the heart. And then close the eyes or find your drishti point, an unmoving spot that you can rest your eyes onto. And when you find that drishti point, it's a soft gaze. So, you know when you smile, your eyes naturally sink a little deeper into their sockets? It's that same quality as soft eyes. You're not staring at the point. Really, really good position to hold for the ankles, the shins, the knees, the hips. And then hands come down, bum to the sky, feet together, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold, breathe it all out. Utkatasana, hips low, take the arms high. And now starting with taking the hands onto the hips, just for balance. Sit down a little bit deeper. Good, now lift your heels up. Pause, and then slowly take them down. Good, little heel pops up, and then take them down. Just a few more of these. Little pause at the top, really working the ankle strength. Really important that you've got your drishti for this one, helping you to balance. Next time you lift up, hold here. Squeeze the knees right up to the inner thighs together. Good, lift a little bit higher. Heels come down, keep the hips low, take the hands behind you, interlock. Big breath in, open the chest, and then forward fold again, knuckles over the head. Let it go. Take a few breaths out the mouth if that feels good. Finding a greater release. And then Utkatasana, hips low, arms high. Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Step your right foot back as you breathe out. Good, inch to the toes back, sink the hips, lift the chest. Forward fold, straighten the front leg. Few more times. An option to close down the eyes. If you're a little more open in the hamstrings, the option when you straighten your front leg is to lift your front toes as well. Next time you straighten your front leg, you get into that forward fold, you're just going to linger here for a few breaths. And then open up into warrior two. So spin your back heel flat, helicopter the arms up. Good. Sink your hips plumb line to the earth. Dial into your feet. Take your eyes beyond your fingertips. settle into a smooth, steady breath. Get really strong, push up into my hands, yeah. Okay, really nice breathing, everyone. To reverse your warrior, flip your upper palm, hand to hip, push the hips forward as you stretch it back. So this is a side body stretch, not a back bend. So you want to keep your chest turning to the side of the room. And then helicopter the hands down, frame your front foot. Roll into the ball of the back toes, left arm to the sky, open up. Good, lean away from your thigh, lean away. Feel free to play outside of the lines a little bit here. Okay, and then left hand comes down. Walk over to the right. Good, pivot the toes in, then take the hands onto the hips and come all the way up to stand. Good, coming into goddess squat, you're going to turn your heels in, please. Toes out. Now the degree to which you turn your toes out is going to depend on your flexibility. So when you take your thighs down and you sink into your squat, you want to be able to work your knees in the same direction as your toes. So go ahead and drop down and just see that your knees are pointing the same direction as your toes. If they're not, turn the toes in slightly. So usually the more flexible you are, the wider your toes are going to turn out. Again, find your big toes when you look down. So tracking the knees open front to back of your mat. Good, now hands onto the hips, just do little pulses here. And Catherine, I think your feet should be a little wider. Yeah, that looks good. Pulsing up and down, just really getting into the legs, finding the glutes, the big muscles in your bum. Good, now drop your thighs down so they're parallel with the earth. Again, traction the knees open front to back. Take the hands in front of you, interlock your fingers, flip your palms, push up. Keep softening your front ribs into your body. Tailbone draws down, last few breaths. And then release, come up, take your hands into your hips, turn the toes in, heels out, forward fold, let it go. And just take a moment here, nothing too forced, just let this be a release. So shake your head, yes and no. Not too much pushing or pulling here. Just a gentle hamstring stretch to release that pose. And then walking the hands forward and then around to the front of the mat. Again, heel toe your front foot out to the left. Both hands to the inside. Good, look forward, draw forward, take your push up, and then straighten it out. Push up, hips lowering at the same rate. Keep carving the elbows in, so the elbows are not winging out, they're staying tucked in towards the side ribs. Last 3, 2, 1. Step the back foot forward, Malasana. Drop your hips. Now adding in a twist here, you're going to take your left hand down, right arm to the sky, open up. And then hands together at the center of the chest, twist the other direction. So right shoulder tucks in, right hand comes down, left arm to the sky. Yeah, do that again from side to side at your own pace. And we'll all meet with hands at the heart again. Few breaths here. And then hands to the ground, bum to the sky, feet together. Halfway lift, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe it all out. Utkatasana, hips low, take the arms high. And then come to stand, big breath in. And then hands to the heart. Good. Relax the hands for tree pose. Pick your right foot up, open the knee to the right, and place the foot above or below your left knee. Finding the shift in the balance from the inner to the outer edge of the foot without gripping the toes. Okay, now reach down and grab your ankle and take your ankle onto your left thigh. So the knee falls open still. Hands come to the center of the chest. Start to reach the bones of your bum towards the back of your mat, sitting back as far as you can. Maybe you reach the arms forward to counterbalance if you get pretty low. And then slowly come up. So little Hawaiian squats here. Lower down, working single leg strength, and opening into the hip. And then coming up. So at your own pace, just find this here. Again, drishti, really important for these. Focus your eyes on a spot. Don't feel you need to rush through these. Next time you lower, you're going to hold. And then come up to stand, pick your right knee up into your chest, squeeze the front of your shin, lift the knee high, and then right into standing split. Take your leg back, hands to the ground, kick it up. Good, find a little more lift. And then feet together at the top of your space. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold, breathe it all out. Go all the way up, big breath in. And then hands to the heart. Close the eyes, just take a moment to digest that first little bit of your practice. Observing what you feel in your body without having an opinion about it. Just simply noticing and feeling. And then relax the arms, come right into the other side. So left foot lifts now. Open the knee to the left. Foot to the inner calf or catch the ankle and pull it up into the inner thigh. Now just looking down and maybe checking that your toes are pointing at true north. Sometimes they'll turn out a little bit to the right, that's okay. Hands to the heart. And as we hold this shape, remember that there's a little bit of softness within the strength of this pose. So if a tree is too brittle, it'll break with the wind. Right? The strongest trees can bend and flow with the wind. And reaching down, catching for the ankle, and bringing it onto your right thigh now. Good, hands to the heart, find your balance. Start to sit down. Now if coming up and down is ever too much, you can just hang out in your low squat and hold this shape. And then slowly coming up. Or challenge yourself to work these little squats in. The good thing about yoga is that there is no cheating. Really, when you isolate one side at a time, both legs need to learn how to work. It's really important that you work single leg strength. Last one, when you sit down, now you're going to hold. And then come up, pick the knee up, take your fingers interlock on front of your left shin, squeeze the knee up towards the left shoulder. Standing split, hands to the ground, take the leg up to the sky, stretch it out. And then feet together at the top of your space. Lengthen on an inhale. Forward fold on an exhale. Go all the way up, big breath in. Hands to the heart. And again, closing down the eyes, taking a moment to feel. And then hands catch the hips. Step into warrior one, please, with your right foot going back. Square the hips off towards the front of your space without forcing it. Just the intention of the hips squaring. Take that front thigh down a little closer to parallel without expanding the abdomen. So keep shortening the abdomen and lengthening the tailbone down. Arms reach up overhead. Arms lift, shoulders lift slightly, taking the shoulder blades up your back. Really strong in your back leg, pushing the thigh bone to the back of the room as you lunge into the front knee. So switch right leg back. And now eagle the arms, take your right arm and twist tie it under your left arm. Now pull your right forearm to the right side of the room, your left forearm to the left side of the room. Really tightening your bind here. And then full eagle pose. In 1 or 2 steps, pick your back leg up and wrap it around your front leg. And now squeeze your thighs together, drop your thigh bones down, down. Chest lifted. Now pick your right knee high up into your chest, stand tall here for a moment. Take your arms alongside the body. Airplane, start to take your right leg back, hinging forward. Good. Keep thinking about wrapping the outer edge of your right hip down and in slightly. Now hold this shape, but take a deep bend in your standing leg, pause. Warrior one, step back. Yes, really nice, everyone. Now open up into warrior two. Good, generous stance. Second time here, sink right down into it without any hesitation. Breathe as if your lungs went right through the legs. Notice any self-defeating, self-limiting thoughts that start to creep in. Shift your focus from those thoughts to the sound of your breath. Reconnecting to your center each time. Straighten out your front leg. Trikonasana, start to reach forward till you can't reach forward anymore. And then windmill the arms, left arm down, right arm up. If you remembered at the beginning of class we did cat-cows, often what happens here is people stick cow pose into this shape. So I want you to think about hollowing out your belly slightly, shortening the front of the abdomen. Good, pushing the bony parts of your hips forward as you lean your chest back without expanding the abdomen. Good, now lift your front 5 toes to really connect to your front foot and the strength of your front leg. So you're not locking out the knee joint. Now moving into the side obliques here a little bit. Keeping this shape, you're just gonna reach up a couple inches and then come back down. Lift up and then down. Going a little bit faster now, pulsing up and down. And really important here that you keep the abdomen contained. So think of shortening the abdomen and lengthening the back. Good, little pulses up and down. Up and down, a little more. Lift and then down. Yes. Pulsing about 10. Awesome, hold this shape, pause, come back up, warrior two, land, we're not here for long. And then straighten the front leg. Good, helicopter the hands down, frame your front foot, pause. Drag your back foot in a little and lift your leg. Half moon pose, take your left hand down, take the right arm to the sky. So eyes stay down until you've found your balance. Or really charge up the back leg, flex the toes towards your face, push out through your heel. And then look to the ground, take your right hand down, take your right leg to the back of your mat, right knee comes down, shift the hips back into half splits, or option here to come into full Hanumanasana, starting to inch your front toes forward. And you might not be in full splits, but no big deal, just start the journey by inching your toes forward. Maybe just hang out here. Or lift the toes and push the heel forward a little bit more. And if you've got your yoga block handy, it can be really nice to put under the front thigh bone if you're pretty close, but not quite there. And some of you are pretty close to it, so think of walking the shoulders back over the hips, maybe for the last few breaths, even taking the arms up overhead. And then hands come down. Good, and that is sometimes no graceful way to come out of this, so just do your best. I like to inch the back knee in a little bit, and then swing my leg out to the left, find tabletop, and then child's pose, sink back. Take a few breaths out the mouth if that feels good, just releasing any lingering tension from the first half of your practice. So there's sometimes this misconception that yoga helps to eliminate stress, or it takes away stress. And it really doesn't. We're still going to face stressful situations. We're still going to have to deal with our life, which can be stressful at times. But what yoga actually does is helps us to develop a different relationship to stress. So as we move in and out of these challenging asanas, we find ourselves in these intense situations or these stressful situations on our yoga mat. And instead of reacting to them, instead of fighting them, we learn to connect to our breath, to breathe through the situation. So as we get ourselves into these situations, we learn how to keep our mind cool, a balanced mind, so that we can just handle stressful situations better in ways that we're a little more proud of ourselves. So come back into tabletop position, please, and then find downward facing dog. Curl the toes under, lift the hips. And now draw forward to high push-up. Take a moment, get really strong here in your high push-up. Start to push the earth away actively so the arms are straight. Dome into the upper back and find the shape like you just did cow or cat pose. Doming into the upper back, hollowing out the belly slightly. Yes, Alan, that looks great. And now get more into your legs, lift the thigh bones, squeeze your bum. And then look forward. Draw forward slightly with your chest. Now slowly lower, and if you've got chaturanga, you can pause in chaturanga for a second for more challenge, and then slowly release to the ground. Good. Now take your arms alongside the body, legs zip up together, full locus. Lift your legs, lift your chest, lift your arms. Everything lifts. Good. And then release, take it down. Do that again, inhale, lift. Exhale, release. See if you can keep your legs together. Inhale, lift and hold. Now find your breath here. Okay, this back line work is so important, strengthening the whole back line of the body. Okay, lift up a little higher, hold here, exhale all the air out. Okay, take another inhale, lift even higher, and then exhale, release. Push into tabletop position, and then find downward facing dog, please. Good. Now rise to the tips of your toes. Bend your knees, hover your knees off the ground like you're in a hovering child's pose. Now look to your hands, walk or hop to the top. And lengthen when you get there, fill your lungs. And then fold into yourself as you empty them. And go all the way up, take a big breath in, stretch and reach. And then hands to the heart. Good, hands onto the hips, step your left foot back, please, warrior one, other side. So feet are about hip width apart, so get off the tightrope if you're on it. You want the feet more hip width. Sink your front knee towards the front of the room without expanding your abdomen. So tailbone draws down, arms reach. So you want to think about creating more length through your low back. Okay, so we tend to be pretty flexible in our lumbar spine, so we like to dip into it. But instead, yes, lengthen tailbone, find lots of space in the low back. Now the abdomen has to turn on to support you. Yeah, it looks really good, everyone. Let me pull this in just a little more. Left arm goes under, eagle the arms. Good, take a moment here, stay in your feet, keep sinking the hips, wrapping the forearms in two opposing directions. No rush, but when you're ready, think about this transition. Eagle pose, back foot lifts, wrap around the front foot or front leg, twist tie the limbs. Now the same thing here, avoid dumping into the lumbar spine. Take your tailbone down, shorten up the front of the abdomen. So a few different variations of eagle pose, but I like this one because it forces the abdomen to engage to support you. So core is working here. And then left knee lifts really high, hold. Arms come alongside the body. Airplane pose, start to hinge, take the left leg back. Doesn't matter if your torso doesn't get to parallel, but lift the leg at the same degree as the torso. Now hold this shape, but take a deep bend in your standing leg, just making the leg work a little differently. Quietly step back, warrior one. Yes, beautiful. Open up into warrior two, take a longer stance. Straighten out the front leg. Reach forward, push your hips back towards the wall behind you. Triangle pose, Trikonasana, right arm down, left arm to the sky. Now it's really less about how far your right hand gets to the ground and more about creating equal length through the right side and the left side of the torso. Which looks really good in most of you here. You've got it. Keep thinking about shortening up the upper side of your torso and lengthening your right side ribs away from the right hip crease. And if that makes no sense to you, then don't even worry about it. Just lean back a touch, push your hips forward slightly. Okay, keep pushing down to the big toe mound of your front foot. Yeah, you got it, awesome. Good, now little side oblique lift. So you're gonna lift up a couple inches and then back down. So lift, down, lift, down. Stay strong in your feet, and again, keep the abdomen contained. Shorten it up, little pulses. Last 10. And come back up, warrior two, land. Helicopter the hands down. Roll into the ball of the back toes, knee comes down. Shift the hips back into half splits, or start to inch your front toes forward. Full splits, Hanumanasana. And again, you don't need to be anywhere close to it. You can use the block on the tallest setting even to support your thigh. Keeping a nice bent straight leg, front leg, and then maybe come down a little bit deeper. Good, and some of my friends here in half splits, you might even find you can just come forward, inch this heel forward a little bit, and now go back into half splits again, just to deepen a little bit. Good. And yoga splits, chest is eventually working its way over the hips. So in like more of a dance splits where you come forward, shoulders working back. So even if you're not there, just kind of know where you're going. And maybe for the last few breaths, arms overhead. Nice, Anne. Hands come down. Good. Find your way out of this in the most graceful way possible. And then just go back into child's pose. Take a sip of water if you need it, or just rest in this really nurturing shape. Starting to shift from the more active yang part of our practice to slowing down the still, very introspective yin part of the practice. Come into downward facing dog to set up for pigeon pose. Take your left leg to the sky and first just bend your upper leg and roll your hip open. And then square the hips off and draw the left knee towards the left wrist and come onto your shin, kicking the ankle in front of the right hip. Pigeon pose. Good. And right hip draws forward slightly. Left hip scissors back. And then start to come onto the forearms. Maybe even stacking your fists and resting your forehead on the fists. I'm just observing the difference here between fidgeting or just moving to distract yourself slightly, to consciously moving to maybe deepen the posture, or to pull out of it a little bit. And as much as possible here, surrendering into the shape, as if each exhale breath were a mantra of letting go, softening into wherever you feel this the most. And then coming up onto the hands, three-legged dog again. So exactly as we went into this, take your front leg up and back, open up the hip again. And maybe you stay here, or maybe flip the dog. So roll the hips all the way open. Reach the left arm to the front of the room, open up into the front line. And then downward facing dog, please. Okay, take your right leg to the sky, bend your upper knee, open your hip. Square the leg off, right knee draws forward, pigeon other side. So the more parallel your front shin is to the top of your mat, the deeper this stretch is going to be. So if you need to take it down a little bit, pull the ankle more towards your left hip. And then start to come forward. Now if your forehead doesn't comfortably rest onto the ground, if your head's hanging quite a bit below your spine, and you want to stack your fists or put a block under your head. Just looking for places in your body where you are holding on unnecessarily. Places in your body where you can let go. Start to soften any hard edges, physically and mentally. And come up onto the hands, three-legged dog. Take the right leg up and back. Just opening up the hip here, just like we started, staying here, or flip your dog, roll all the way open. Then come back into downward facing dog. Coming down onto your knees and take the legs forward. Take your left foot now to the outside of your right leg. And you might just stay here or take a double cross if you're a little more open in the hips. And then take the left hand to the base of your spine on the mat, so it just sort of props you up. Right hand reaches up, elbow to the outside of the knee. Sit up tall, big breath in, and then twist. Close down the eyes. And instead of holding the depth of your twist really tight, on your inhales, can you soften out of the twist a little bit? And then on the exhales, deepen into it. Each inhale, softening a little bit. Exhale, deepening into it. And for the last few breaths, if you've got the double bind with your legs, maybe take your right hand down and grab your big toe. Just start to pull your big toe forward to get a little more leverage to twist. And then come back to center. Get a little counter twist the other direction without changing the legs. And then back to center. Switch legs. Right foot to the outside. Maybe the double cross. Right hand behind you, left arm to the sky. Open up and twist. And eyes closed, just feeling your way into this twist. With our eyes open, it's a little more stimulating for the body, taking things in. As we close our eyes, just drawing the senses inwards. And coming back to center, a little counter twist the other direction. And then legs extend forward again. Coming down onto your backs without turning around, just exactly where you are. Take the soles of the feet together. Let the knees fall open. Bound angle. Take your left hand onto your heart, right hand below your belly button. Now these are just rough areas. Once you've got your hands there, see if you can relax your elbows back down onto the ground so the arms stay relaxed. The hands are just here to create awareness for these two parts of your body. Our heart and our belly. Seeing if, as you inhale, you feel the hands rise. And as you exhale, you feel your hands draw down towards the spine. Doesn't have to be super exaggerated, it can just be really subtle. Encouraging us to breathe into the depths of our lungs. And our hands in this position, just reminding us that we are more than our thoughts. And we are more than our emotions or our reactions. We are the one witnessing it all. Taking your hands down now to the outsides of your thighs and just closing your knees up with the support of your hands. Take the knees into the chest, just wrap your arms around your legs, this final drawing in. And then Shavasana, extend the legs out. Take the arms so that they're slightly away from the torso and the palms roll open. And then let the toes just flop out to the right and left side of the room. Cultivating the art here of non-doing. Remembering that life is not just about your to-do list. And filling our time with all the doing that we do. But remembering that it's about experiencing it all as well. Learning to be comfortable with stillness. Maybe you're lying here and you're feeling the opposite of peaceful and calm. And that's okay as well. See if you can just make peace with whatever you're feeling, without feeling like you need to change it. Really awesome work this morning, everyone. So from the light within me to that very same light that exists within you. Namaste.